Hey, beautiful soul. Before we jump into the episode, I want to know, did you know that I have a completely free virtual new moon circle called Co-Create every single month? This stemmed out of a constant request for a space or a church that taught so many different spiritual modalities, tools, systems, beliefs, and I didn't have any place to send them. So I created it. In Co-Create, this is the space that I want to bring to you to learn how to create a connection to yourself, your energetics, and the divine in a community that won't make you feel like a weirdo. A space where you can ask any question you want, where we get to dive into so many systems and beliefs and tools, and you get to pick and choose what feels good for you. So you can learn what it means to truly co-create with the universe, God, source, for flow, trust, and surrender, to connect with other women who are spiritually curious in a space that's safe, sacred, and inspirational. It's your space for you to find your people and lean into new spiritual practices to truly co create with the universe or God or source or whoever you feel connected to. You'll gain tools and knowledge to understand what it really means to lean into the universal laws and become magnetic, all while being held by massive feminine energy. I've been hosting these free new moon circles for almost a year now, and it's definitely one of my most sacred spaces, and it's completely free for you every single month. Diana said that she made a promise to herself that she would work on her personal development and growth journey earlier in 2024. So I reached out to her and asked her for a testimonial to share with us. And what she said was Adriana's membership community and Co-Create has accelerated that and more. I have had multiple breakthroughs from finding a new career path, improving my mental health by reducing my anxiety and depression through journaling, meditation, and breath work, improving my physical health, doing walking meditations are my jam, strengthening my marriage and relationships, improving my money mindset, and just setting up a routine that complements my design. I've learned to embrace challenges as a sign of growth. I will continuously do my best to be in harmony with myself, with this world, and the universe. I have never felt so seen, heard, safe, and supported. Her community and Co-Create has helped me connect to my true authentic self, to move with grace and intention, to embrace everyone's uniqueness. And we each have a special gift and are collectively part of this world to show and share it this way. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing all of your reflections and how Co-Create and my community has changed your life. And now I want to share it with everyone else. The link to register is in the show notes below. Even if you register for 1 month, you will automatically be signed up to be able to join every single month for as long as you're on the list. So you don't have to repeat it every month. You will always get on the list. You will always have the Zoom link available. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to the No BS Human Design Podcast. What do you think of the new branding? It's so funny. I was so against red. I even told my brand architect that I didn't want red. And here we are with red. We figured out why I didn't want that. And it just looked stale and stagnant with some other things. But then she blended it into this like beautiful gradient. And I was like, oh my God, that's everything. Like, hello, my hair is a bright red ombre. My aura is literally red. This is proven with my aura photograph that I just had taken in April. So obviously it was red. It was always going to be red. I'm a Taurus. I'm very grounding to people. I get that literally all the time. So the fact that it's red, it ended up being red, it's right up there with me saying I would never have a company name. And here we are. Welcome to the Magnetic Rebellion. If you don't have a fucking clue what I'm talking about, go to last week's episode where I announced my 10 months, almost a year in the making project that has finally been birthed, come to life. Literally, conception was, and then like up until birth, it was literally like 9 and something, almost 10 months. So I just birthed another baby. Oh my God. Oh, I just had a download moment. This is a total side note. This just plopped into my head right now. Years and years ago, someone taught me to put like a pendulum on my palm to find out how many kids I would have and what genders. So at the time, I only had Brooklyn, my oldest. So I had one girl. And this pendulum said I was going to have 4 kids. And I was like, dude, that's too many. There's no way. But every child that we had, we always made the joke of, oh no, this pendulum's right. Because the pendulum said girl, girl, boy, girl. And I have girl, girl, boy. And after that, I was like, I'm done. I don't want any more kids. I'm tired. We're all good. And so I always wondered about that fourth. Was it a spirit baby that's circling me? Was it the rebirth I had in Tulum? And it just plopped in right now. I believe my fourth girl, my fourth child, is the Magnetic Rebellion. That is so crazy. I didn't put that together until now. That's really interesting. I'm going to have to open that one up for my guides to explain a little bit more. So interesting. Okay. Today, we're diving into, I would say, the overarching topic is gate two. However, there's some other themes throughout. And why we're talking about the energy of gate two is because of how and where the magnetic rebellion came from. That was literally the answers were right in my chart all along. So, if you don't know what a gate, you'll see if you look at your chart, you see a bunch of little numbers inside all your centers. All of us have all those numbers on the centers in the same places of our charts. However, we only have that activated in us if it's highlighted. So if you're like on my website and you see it highlighted in black, that means that this gate or energetic gift is available in you. This is something that you have access to that's a part of your energy. It's also said to be like lessons that we're here to learn. Because if you think about it, most of us aren't raised in a situation where all of our gifts are just brought to life and nurtured and nourished, right? So we have to learn these pieces of us. We have to learn the shadow and the light of every aspect of us. So they are like lessons, but they're energetic gifts of ours, like talents that we bring into the world. So my gate two is literally everything that the magnetic rebellion came from. So I'm going to explain this a little bit. If you want to grab your chart and take notes, even if you don't have gate two, this can be really helpful because we're going to talk about a few other pieces, but even understanding of the gate two can be really helpful in just your everyday life, but especially if you are in the magnetic rebellion with us. So if you look at your body graph, you'll see you have two sides. You have the personality on one. You know what? I'm just going to share my screen. So if you're watching on YouTube, let me share the Magnetic Rebellion's body graph with you. But for me, in my chart, I have gate two. So this is the gate of the direction of self. It is in the G center, so the little triangle in the middle, and it's a gate of higher knowing, where the magnetic monopole resides. So how we call things to us. And it's the most receptive feminine gate. So some keynotes for two are higher knowing, direction, reorientation, and visionary. This actually, I'm going to read a quote that I pulled from one of my human design mentors because I thought it was just so beautiful. She writes about gate two. If the first gate is the masculine doing, creation and expression of the self, that's what gate one is. The energy of force, an unsustainable but impactful energy that needs to be seen and heard and can inspire change and creativity in others. Then the second gate, so gate two, is the consistent knowing that you have everything you need to manifest anything from the quantum. I just had to read that word for word because it's epic. But what gate two at its root is, it's the most archetypal feminine gate. It guides you in owning your power and redirecting yourself when you feel out of alignment. This is the shadow of dislocation, dislocated in time, dislocated in space, simply out of alignment. Like you don't know where you're going. Kundalini, it is no surprise that I've been attracted to learning Kundalini lately because it teaches that you bow to the teacher within. The inner teacher is here within you. That's like all the answers are within you. It's a gift, an energy of having an innate sense of direction and guiding you on your path. And that direction bringing necessary change for evolution. It's receptive, it's adaptable, it's always seeming to know the paths to follow. So, this energy guides you to support yourself and to support others in their direction, and in their direction of their destiny, of their own creative ambitions, as well as yours. She knows what resources it will take to achieve this vision. She knows the feminine approach to life is based on unity, surrender, and trust. And this is something I have very much had to heal through. I will say, I am not completely healed and like on the other side of this. This is still something I learn more and more about every single day because this is a journey in my life. I had a lot of repression and suppression around feminine receiving and just being a feminine, fluid human being. I wasn't taught that. I was taught masculine is how you get things. We were taught not to cry, don't have emotions. You can't just receive gifts. You can't receive, right? So all of this was a huge theme in my life. It makes it's no weird chance at all that when my grandmother used to take my sisters and I Christmas, I'm not sorry, not Christmas, back to school shopping when we were little, my sisters had no problems allowing my grandmother to buy them things. Meanwhile, we just had this conversation. I wonder if I talked about this already on the podcast because we just had this conversation with my grandparents a couple months ago. I would feel so guilty for my grandmother paying for me for things. So I would say, no, I don't need that. No, I don't need that. Maybe I'd let her get me a pair of shoes and a shirt, maybe one outfit when my sisters would come home with bags of stuff. And she used to not like argue with me, but she'd be like, why won't you pick anything? And it was always this deep guilt of, I'm not worthy of receiving this. Like, I can't have you spend your money on me. And look, like, I always thought it was because we had money issues when I was little. And there was a lot of stuff that happened in my family that the rug was pulled out from underneath us and we lost a lot. And I thought that was because I went through that. But looking at it, I'm like, but my sisters didn't respond in that way. So what was that? Now I can see it makes sense because I naturally, this is my biggest wound. This is my biggest fear that I have to grow through. So it's really impacted me every day of my life. And this is where, when I was finally able to identify that with the help of human design, everything started shifting because I understood what the gift was. But before we get into that, I want to add that the gate two has a strong genetic link with the eighth gate. Gate eight is the gift of style or rebel with a cause. This gate presents a new, unique, and original way of living. If you look at my new branding, if you look at the magnetic rebellion, what word do you see? Rebellion, right? Because the eighth gate is in my sun. My sun sign in human design is a rebel with a cause. I have always wanted to be seen as unique and create new and original ways of living. So my real face begins to show the more that I heal around this gate two energy of having all the answers within me. And then my eighth gift, being my unique self, the more I allow myself to show my real face, to show who I am and what I want in life, the more magnetic you become. So, this is where the Magnetic Rebellion's name came from. Let's go deeper into two. In gate two, in the gene keys, the shadow, like I said, is dislocation. So, being a victim of external circumstance, feeling like you don't belong, feeling like you don't know where you're going, what you want, being lost in time. For me, it showed up a lot as like numbness, being lost in depression, feeling apathetic to everything and anything around me. Dismemberment is what Gene Keys talks about with the dislocation. And so for me, I would very much fall into being a victim of my external circumstances, going into the numbness, feeling like there's nothing out there for me, like I don't belong, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know. And actually, what I want to read something right out of the Gene Keys book about this shadow. It says the fear that we are going in a bad direction comes from the second shadow. It is because we now see ourselves as separate from nature that we feel this great collective fear. Our perception dislocates us from the truth. However, the second shadow of dislocation is an integral part of the script of life. It actually allows you to experience being out of the universal flow, even though this experience is an illusion. And what he goes on to talk about in the book that I think is so important is to note that when you're in the shadow of any frequency, any gift, any gate, not just two, it is all about a life experience. It does not mean something about you and who you are and your worthiness. It is simply a part of your journey and a part of your path. So I want to add that there. If that comes up for you as you're listening to this, please do not judge yourself. I'll find myself falling into the shadow. It's not like we go to the gift or the enlightened state and we stay there. We go back and forth all the time. It's about awareness, right? And knowing how to get back into the gift. The gift of the second gene key or human design gate, they are one and the same, is orientation. And in Gene Keys, he calls it mineral magnetism. That'll make sense a little bit more in a second. But it's about finding the resources inside of you to learn, to heal, to grow, to connect with your destiny. I just had a reading with my friend Rachel. She's an ancestral healer. She's awesome. You're going to hear her on the podcast actually in just like a couple weeks, I think. And she was just, we were doing a funsies reading. She's a local friend of mine. So there was no like intent behind it really. But she brought up an example of a psychedelic mushroom journey I was supposed to have about a year and a half ago. This was something that I sought out because I thought it would be helpful and cool to experience and healing from my years of childhood abuse. And I was like, oh, cool, we can go deeper into the layers. At the time, it was a little bit more than, oh, cool. It was like, I'm really hurting and this isn't helping, I need more help. And literally about a week before we were supposed to have that journey with those two facilitators, it fell through. And I was really bummed, of course. I was nervous. I was worried that I was going to only get worse. But I trusted the universe. I said this will come back up when it's time. And now it's a year and a half later. Tim and I, on New Year's Eve this year, are going to have our first psychedelic experience with mushrooms. And this is one that is not, the intention behind this was not for healing. It was all of a sudden, one day, dropped into me that I felt safe in doing it and experiencing it just for fun. I don't feel like I need it for healing. I don't feel super anxious, worrying about losing control, which is very much something I've struggled with in the past. That's literally why I never did drugs as a kid, any of my life, because I have a deep fear of losing control of my body, obviously, abuse, right? But for the first time, I'm like, dude, I just feel like I just want to experience it. And there's like nothing else behind that. And in my reading, Rachel didn't know this, but she said the one I was supposed to schedule a year and a half ago, she was like, because you weren't supposed to have help healing this, you were supposed to do it on your own. And boom, lights went out. And I was just like, that's because of my gate two. I was supposed to figure this out and heal this on my own because the answers are within me. Now, that's not to say that you can never have a therapist or never have help and blah, 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 because clearly this is what I do for work, right? And I also have a therapist. So it's not that we can't have that kind of help, but it's that the answers were within me. And a year and a half later, I can safely say that I do not have the experiences of the trauma that I had a year and a half ago. I found those answers and that healing within me. Human design and tapping were the biggest components of those. So this this is just one example of how this shows up in my life as my wounding for sure with gate 2 because I go into these really deep dark places that I don't know how to get out of. And I spend a lot of money on seeking help externally. I literally had a bleeding issue for like 13 years of my life that I had surgeries done and blah, 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 and this and that. I've found the answers to a lot of that myself now. I have had the help of one hormonal nutritionist, which is incredible because I'm a line four and she was in my network and it just fell into place. And other than that, I've healed so much of this. Obviously, spirit's telling me right now it was linked to my gate 2. If you're having bleeding issues as a woman, that has to do with receiving and feminine energy, right? So I've naturally started to heal a lot of that on my own through this work. And a keynote to experience, or not experience, note, a key note, words are hard, with this gate 2 energy, this gift of orientation and mineral magnetism is the energy of having an increased feeling and occurrence of synchronicity. The direct manifestation of this gate is literally synchronistic and magical experiences. This is why, and again did not put this together over until over time, hindsight 2020. This is why I've always talked about how manifestation is about healing and the direction of the subconscious and how the subconscious feels about yourself. To Be Magnetic introduced me to that. I didn't channel that myself, as far as I can remember. But it made so much sense. I was like, none of this mainstream manifestation stuff ever worked for me. But then I was introduced to Be Magnetic and some other tools, and I healed a lot subconsciously. I healed a lot of my trauma, and I started seeing all this magical shit happen in my life, all this synchronicity. This is because true manifestation comes from the second gate and is about healing. And that's not to say that you can't manifest without the second gate. We'll get to that. That's not the point. But this mineral magnetism, the second gate has a special role within your DNA that creates an attractor field. That's what was downloaded with the gene keys. So as your frequency within the 2 rises, as you go from dislocation to orientation, the electromagnetic power of your aura increases. And this harmony is contagious. So the more I've naturally healed, if you heard what episode was that? 2 episodes ago where I talked about the rebrand and how everything literally came to me, how all I had to do was respond. It's because I have created that synchronicity because my aura is healing. I don't say healed. I think we're always healing, but so much more healed than it was before. And that harmony, that synchronicity is contagious to other people in your life. Like I have the full channel of the 214. It goes down to the sacral center, and the 14 is said to bring resources to people around you, not just you. And ever since my husband and I have been together, he in his own life has continued to make more and more money than he ever has just since being married to me. Why do you think that is? It is the mineral magnetism that my energy is bringing because I'm finding my own orientation. I'm rising into the gift of this. There is one more higher frequency that is channeled within the gene keys, and this is called the Siddhi. The Siddhi is like the enlightened state, and the Siddhi for gate 2 is unity. The divine feminine shows us there is no competition, no good, no bad, no ego. It is the enlightened awakening where we are all one. And this is the enlightened state of the gate 2. This is why I've always felt drawn to being at one with the world and to teaching everyone that we are all one. that is, I mean, I feel like I could say more on that, but we are all one. Like, that is the point, right? We are all one. We are all here to heal. We're all here to do the same things in different ways, yes, but we are all connected deeply. It's funny, when I first met my husband, I wasn't spiritual at all. And he would tell me things like he believed in aliens and the blanket theory. And I was like, what is the blanket theory? And he said, like that we're all connected. And I was like, dude, this guy's weird. Literally, he cracked me open. He cracked me open to my destiny. Literally, his Open G Center has been literally reflecting my destiny since day one. So, but that's a side note. Now, for me, my profile line within my core wound. So you'll see two numbers. You'll see a gate number and then a period, and then there's another number that's going to be 1 through 6. For me, my profile line is a 5 in my core wound. So it says 2.5. And the fifth line is all about like calling out the bullshit, like figuring out what's not working in whatever it is and saying, like, we have to do this a different way. We have to do this a better way. And so for me with human design, if you've been here with me for a while, you already understand how I do that. I've always been talking about I found what was wrong within the human design community. Nobody taught me that I had to be some sort of spiritual, that I had to believe in something bigger than me for human design to truly turn on. And nobody taught me that my nervous system would be a barrier for like trying to actually lean into my human design. I had to learn those things on my own, and now I talk about them all the time. Two main things that are wrong with human design in the mainstream. Nobody teaches you have to regulate your nervous system, and nobody tells you that if you don't believe in anything bigger than you, it's going to be way fucking harder for you to trust fall into this system. That is my line 5 at play in my gate 2. So in the magnetic rebellion, that's the whole goal. And this, again, this was my idea before I understood what the line 2 was doing. I've always wanted to help people have all the tools they need to find their path. That's why I started as a life coach before I ever introduced human design into my work. The magnetic rebellion is here orienting you on the sacred path of self-discovery using the tools I don't see other people teaching in human design or astrology or whatever, but coming back to oneness with all the tools that are available to you. You pick what resonates with you and you leave what doesn't. This is literally how the magnetic, see, mineral magnetism, rebellion, gate 8, was born from my own energy. And then, of course, when we channeled the name, the magnetic rebellion, I pulled a birth chart for that time. And I was like, well, let's see. What's the magnetic rebellion look like if it's birthed right now? And of course, you think it has gate 2? Of course it does. It has gate 2 in Jupiter. Jupiter is all about law, protection, opportunity, material matters. This is how the magnetic rebellion makes money, creates opportunity, and is protected and protects and creates law is through gate 2. It's literally how my business is designed to make money, which is my vocation. Like, you can't make this shit up. So I want you, biggest takeaway from this is to understand that even if you don't have gate 2 activated in your chart, there are always people and resources around you who can help you activate that essence within yourself that will harmonize your energy and reorient you. The magnetic rebellion has the energy of gate 2. So the more that you are in and around our essence, myself or the magnetic rebellion, because we both have it consciously in our charts, you are going to harmonize with that orientation. You are going to create mineral magnetism within yourself and find your sense of direction, your guidance through this energy. So your goal is to toss the map aside, trust your inner guidance, trust that sense of direction that's calling you one way or the other, whether it's joining the magnetic rebellion or working with me individually or finding someone else who has gate 2, who you really look up to, who's a good mentor for you, or just being in the essence of someone who's in the gift of the gate 2, you will find your way. You always do. After the new year, in the Magnetic Rebellion, we are officially kicking off a fresh rebirth journey. And if you don't know what this is, it is a 7-week community led journey where you decode your human design, release generational patterns, rewire your nervous system, and claim your authentic self. And every new person who joins the Magnetic Rebellion will get access to that 7-week journey that we are doing as a collective. Remember, there's always power in numbers. When we are doing it together, that energy rises. This is also scientifically proven in meditation and heart studies and all of this. When we do things as a collective, as a community, the energy, the frequency is even higher. So if you are ready for 2025 to be a complete fucking rebirth, if you are ready to not just decode your human design and start living by type strategy and authority, but also rewire your nervous system to believe it's possible and safe for you to do that and to reorient on your path, to find your path, especially if you're feeling dislocated, if you're feeling lost, any of that. This is the ultimate 7-week journey, guided with me, with other people in the community, that we get to all do this together. So that's available for you. And once you do it in the community, it will still be accessible for you to go back and do. It's very self-paced. It's at your own journey, but do it with us as a collective because it is always more powerful when you're doing it in the higher numbers. I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me, and I cannot wait to see you inside the Magnetic Rebellion. Bye for now.